Ayo. Couldn't even hear it just then.
Yeah.
Dang. Welcome back, folks, to another session of Meanderings. You may be able to see by the video. Go check it out if you're not seeing it. Two things. One, you'll be able to see the beautiful Brisbane City in the background. Look at this.
Beautiful.
Look at it. I actually probably only can see a building and people who are about to go by. But two, what you'll see is we are holding it with our hands, these microphones. So
Something a little bit different.
I hope the audio comes out crystal clear. You can hear the absolute shit that we talk about, because we always hear the Mere Mortals. We're all about deep thoughts, but with little funny quotes, items, and little interjections as we go along.
Exactamente.
Yeah, I can't even remember that actual tagline just then. Is deep.
Deep conversations with a lighthearted touch.
That's the one. Deep conversations with lighthearted. Okay, but we're going to begin. Today's Meanderings. Normally, it's going to be the Mere Mortal moment.
Mere Mortal moment.
What have you got?
Nah, mate. Seneca made me do it. So, this will require some explanation. So
Okay,
I'll let you do your one first.
All right. Hold on. Let me get mine out, because unfortunately I've got it in my pocket, but I've got it right available. So, what are you unwilling to feel? So it's a little bit deep for Meanderings, but
It is.
I had this written down a little while ago, and it's something I wanted to talk about, but something actually came up just very recently that was like, so I want to talk about the altercation that just happened at the shopping centre. It's a quick little story, and we can talk about it, and then I want to get into what Seneca made you do.
Okay.
But so I just went to the shops, bought a bit of groceries, go and put it away, and got back to my car, locked the car, and all of a sudden in front of me, this lady with, I'd say she'd be in her 40s, with her kid, like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and she was screaming at this guy next to her car, being like, "Get away from me, like, go away, what are you doing, like, stop following us." And the guy was like, no, look, I'm not doing anything. They were about 10 meters away from me. So I kind of like froze. I thought, what should I feel here? Like, should I go over to try and just check in that everything's okay? Should I step back? So what I ended up doing was just standing by. So I didn't move from the car, just kind of remained there, watch the spectacle / altercation that was happening, just to make sure, okay, look, let's just ensure that nothing bad's going to happen. If I need to go and step in and do something, I will. But it kind of tied in with the Mere Mortal moment of what are you unwilling to feel? So sometimes this, I would say sometimes I'm shy about it, but yeah, altercations like that, I can definitely be shy to interject into. So I might be someone who maybe like action orientated, and I'd want to be involved in a lot of things, but for some reasons, those in particular, I'm always like, I'm unwilling to feel this like getting involved into other people's business and maybe like not knowing what's going on. Even if it's like a fight you can break up, where you can see someone's, I'm like a little bit, hesitant about it. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about the feelings you're unwilling to feel. I've
read too many stories of people
going badly.
Trying to, the Good Samaritan ended up getting knifed, or it's a guy abusing his girlfriend or something. You jump in, and then she turns on you when you're, like physically stopping him from hurting her.
Yep.
And then she's the one like, hitting you from behind and stuff. So there's definitely something to be said about not just jumping in, like having a measured approach to what you're doing. I myself fall along the lines of staying away from it. And one thing I have heard is sort of, if you are in a situation like yourself where you're the sort of bystander and watching, going up and asking a sort of neutral question. So like if you're in a restaurant and you hear an argue, like really fighting, a couple really fighting, they're getting at it, you go up and, "Excuse me, do you have some salt?" And just asking them and sort of
like
cooling,
neutralizing the actual situation almost.
Yeah. But I think there's another deeper part about the not allowing yourself to feel some feelings. We have talked about this. I remember you saying something like this
a long time ago. I think we talked about this, but I'll get back into the emotions a little bit. I want to hear this about what did Seneca make you do?
So I came from this when a good supporter of the podcast, Anna, Apple for the Teacher, she had something, and she basically was like, it was something along the lines of, if you're feeling good, it's a good feeling to feel good, or something like that. And she, in the bio, in the info part of the Instagram, was saying, I'm not sure if anyone said this before, they probably have, but in any case, I'm going to take it. And so this was something I struggled with a little bit before. And I was thinking, okay, what do you actually do if someone did accuse you of stealing something, or if you get an accusation, what's the proper way to handle it? And from my research, I think there's 3 things you can do. First, 3 things you should do. First, deny it. Doesn't matter what it is. Deny it straight up.
Really?
And then go immediately from a denial to a sort of acceptance, and then putting the blame elsewhere. So if someone asks me, "Kyron, why are you stealing these quotes?" which I don't really steal quotes, but I put them. I'd
Hold
go,
on.
nah,
Is
mate,
this what you're
Seneca made me do
recommending,
it."
or is this what
Yeah,
you...
this is what I'm recommending.
Okay,
This is what I'm recommending. This is the
good.
meal model Kyron recommendation.
Dang, okay, yeah.
Deny, then a quick acceptance, but the acceptance should be on the order of milliseconds, and then shift the blame elsewhere.
Okay.
I think,
right.
yeah, that's my
Interesting.
recommendation.
All right, I wouldn't recommend that. I'd definitely go down the path of recommendation of owning up. Especially, what, are we talking quotes or are we talking something else?
I'm talking everything, man.
Dang,
if you
okay.
get accused of rape, deny, accept it, and then place the blame
And
elsewhere.
then place the blame elsewhere. Oh, man, Jesus.
No, I'm joking.
I think I'd go down the path. No, I'd definitely go down the path of... if it's a really old thing that you're quoting or you're taking an idea from, because I think we have said in the podcast before, pretty much every idea that exists is pretty much an old idea. I love that this guy on our left here is currently recording us and taking videos. This has happened like 3 times, which is really good.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea that an idea is new is completely not true, right? Like this idea of us being out here, this is not true. This is not new. This has been done, I'm sure,
for sure.
multiple times. Any quote that you write, they probably quoted it from someone else. It reminded me of Jocko's, I wouldn't say who he's a super big fan of, but it's not Chesty Puller, what's his name? I don't know if you can recall the guy who was in World War One and World War Two, was a general in the army over in the States. Anyways,
That sounds about just every single guest
sounds
who's
like
had
the information that you wouldn't know, but it'll come to me afterwards. But regardless, because I don't want to misinform people. But he was like, oh, this person, he really enjoyed his quotes and all this sort of stuff, and then he found a book which is basically the mentor for this guy from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and that was the same quotes that this guy was taking. So it's like actually it's from somebody else. So yeah, there's probably quotes that we even know of that are probably even older that just get treated to someone we know at least within the last 100 years. There's probably some Egyptian out there, 5,000 years ago or something that's like, man, that's my quote. God damn it. See the hieroglyphic? I said this particular thing. So yeah. Like money is power all the way back then.
Yeah.
So that could be the case. Okay. But why particular Seneca made you do it?
Well, so this is referring to the stealing of quotes or
Right,
the
okay.
appropriation of quotes, which is, if you listen to my recent book review of Letters from a Stoic, you'll realize, okay, Seneca, what he was actually doing in a lot of his letters, towards the end of the letter, he would say, his letter to Lucilius, he's telling Lucilius these things, and then he would say, oh yeah, by the way, here is a little gem of wisdom. And so he was always dropping these gems. Half of them were being taken from Epictetus, but he would then expand upon it. And so that was what made me go, oh, okay, it's probably okay to take a quote, sort of put your name on it a little bit, try and reference them if you can, which I do in our Mere Mortal Moments, and then expand upon it. So it's not as if you're just stealing it, taking it, putting it there, and then being like, hey, oh, look at this shit.
Well, what I do like, and it's that changeover from like knowledge to wisdom style. I like taking a quote or taking something said and then applying it to an actual thing that happened in my life or something that I know, because then I'm applying it to wisdom, and it's almost like, sure, somebody else said it, but this is the application into my life, and so it almost becomes yours. So even though someone might say, power corrupts absolutely, or whatever the quote may be,
absolute
power
corrupts
absolutely. If I can refer into an example of that happening in my life, and a true example, sure, might have been said by a million people, but it's unique to the way that I'm explaining it into my context. So it's not like you're really stealing it. I mean, you can say, oh yeah, I heard it from here, or whatever else, because a million people might have said it, but there you go. All right, I want to get on to mine. What's an emotion do you think that you're unwilling or have trouble feeling?
I mean, I just avoid the bad ones. If no one likes feeling bad stuff. So if I can avoid feeling sad, if I'm thinking of something sad, and this is probably why I don't really watch true crime stuff. This is why I don't particularly go after the horror movies and things like that. I don't like feeling scared. I don't like feeling the sadness of seeing some young girl butchered, raped in when she was 5 years old or whatever. So I definitely would avoid those for sure.
If you had to avoid between, let's say, that sadness or anger, which one would you be more unwilling to feel? Would it be sadness?
Yeah, probably sadness.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not so much an angry person. So, if I do get angry, it does pass pretty quick for me. I almost got in a car accident today.
How quickly did that pass?
I pretty consciously got rid of that quick. it was probably about 20 seconds, 10 seconds of that real, wanting to get back at someone. Then it was probably another 20 seconds of, okay, I see myself getting angry. And then it was probably another 2 minutes of just that, resentment. And then probably about 3 minutes later, I'd forgotten it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What about you? What's something you?
I think one that I'm willing to feel all that often.
Fear.
Or no, it wouldn't be fear. Yeah, but it'd be something akin to sadness, but not sadness. Almost like disappointment. I think disappointment is something that would be unwilling to feel all that often, because when it comes to a comparison of, say, whatever, sporting or intellectually, or applying myself to something like the podcast or work, I think that disappointment is something that I would be unwilling to feel. So I think it's good things, good in some practices, but it does take me away a little bit on the being okay to fail sometimes. And I think I heard this other be said, being like, no one actually likes failure, and that's okay. Like, you shouldn't actually like failure, but there is portions of failure that are great for you because you learn from them, and that's okay. That's totally good to have. But just because some people say, oh well, if you're not failing, you're not working hard enough. Man, sometimes you can just do everything.
You can just be on
point.
Yeah.
Really lucky. You don't fail. You do really well. Like, that's fine. It's not like it's the recipe for having to be successful to fail. Like, that's not it. But when you do fail,
the guy who's just failed 100% at everything he's ever done in his life, he's the real.
Yeah, he's the real champion. But I think it was one of those, just thinking about it, like, I'm willing to be disappointed, and so by that virtue, makes me a little bit worried of failing, and where perhaps I'm going to get some learning, even though it's. I might not fail at all and just go and do it successfully. So, yeah.
I think there's a big difference between unwilling to feel something and not wanting to, because unwilling is, it's almost like a huge denial in the sense of, if it comes up, you squash it down. So, I had that story about that sad story the other week about the autistic kid and his sort of like bullying dad. I felt sad then. I didn't squash it down or whatnot. It wasn't good.
It was more like you didn't want to, not that you were unwilling.
Yeah, exactly. Unwilling, I think is
it's stronger.
It's pretty
it is
strong.
stronger.
It's a pretty strong term.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if those exist too far fetched. So
I mean, there could be some stuff, and that'll be like the total blindsiding that you can get. I'm not, but I don't know. I'm willing to say I probably am unwilling to feel something, but I don't know what it is.
Before you bring out the next topic, I just wanted to say a quick shout out to Joe Rogan. Old mate, but his conversation with Tim Dillon had me laughing quite well, and it's
stitches.
I haven't listened to a Joe Rogan comedy sort of conversation at all, like basically at all, apart from like snippets. And I was like, I'd gone through every podcast I wanted to listen. Now I've caught up. I don't have any. So now I don't know if you've started seeing that I've been posting a few onto Instagram as well.
Yeah,
I'm now checking out people's other podcasts. Yeah. I'm like, oh damn
son.
So all these extra free time. So obviously listening to Joe Rogan, find it super funny. So don't go there if you're trying to be politically correct and stuff. You will not enjoy that. No. But it's just it was a good time.
Okay, so I will talk a little bit about what happened after my recent conversation with Brendan. So we basically finished up, and we had this funny topic. I was talking about people who are so bizarre, who are so unrealistic that you can't believe that they're actually real, that they actually exist. And so immediately after the podcast finished up, I got bitten by midges. If you want to see my legs, I can.
For those non-Australians, can you explain what midges are?
I don't even know what they are. They're just a tiny little bug that spews acid on you when it or pisses on you when it lands on you and makes you very itchy. It's basically the same of
bloody Australia
mosquito bites. Anyhow, I got attacked by all these things, and so we're having a laugh at Brendan's sister, who's like so bizarre. So if you listen to that. And then immediately afterwards, we packed up all the stuff, getting in the car, and then this dude comes along and goes, Krillin! Because I was wearing my Dragon Ball Z t-shirt. I was like, hey man, what's going on? And so...
That's what I said, man, it's Krillin.
Yeah. So him and his mate, I'm going to call it a verbal assault, is what happened to me and Brendan. So I had my car... Nice. We both had our car doors open because we were parked right next to each other. And this guy comes up, and he's just like, man, you gotta, and then he starts talking about this real men thing. I didn't really know. It's like a type of group, I think like a men's group where you go out and you do real men things, I guess. I'm not sure. I
Okay.
think it's sort of like
maybe I have heard
a
of this.
masculinity support group.
Yep.
He starts talking to Brendan over my car, and then the other guy is, from me to
Mate,
camera
they were
away.
cornering you.
It was a verbal assault, and it was just so bizarre because we got trapped for 15 minutes. And look, I could have ended it earlier if I wanted to, but I was sort of enjoying just how bizarre this situation was. And the other guy was telling me how he's a barber, he lives in Morningside, he's getting into meditation and all these things, and
Yeah.
it was just that neither of them stopped talking. If my guy had stopped talking, it would have sounded exactly the same because the other guy was talking at the exact same pace, the
Verbatim,
exact
same
same.
thing. Yeah. Same tone.
Yeah,
Robots.
not about the same thing, but just I couldn't believe that these two were friends because I just didn't see what would their conversations be like. It would be chaos, man. It would be either two guys talking over each other, butting in all the time. It was just a barrage, is all I can say.
I don't know why I'm thinking this, but just it reminds me of Slaughterhouse 5, sort of, optometrist alien combination. Like this is what the combination of these two humans are. Just random shit.
Random shit, man. I would say they were both slightly intoxicated as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Potentially high as well.
Helps out.
So, guts me on the question though. Have you met many people in your life who you think this guy is bizarre? This guy is too ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't believe that I've met people who are truly ridiculous. Like I have met some that I'd say, what was that? Thinking you can live on just air and shit like that.
Oh,
Like
the breatharian.
Like I've met people like that. I've met other people who are just really extreme about particular thoughts. Like extreme in the sense of, I used to work with someone who was like extreme left. Like he was Australian, but had an extreme left view about Brazil. Like it's particularly about Brazil, and you like always brought it up, and it was always like, okay, man, this is like truly, truly strange.
Yeah.
And then I had some like an old friend, obviously back in school. You will know him, old mate who would just jump chains and like stack himself and stuff like that. We know if you know, you know.
Yes.
But he would like I knew him personally, like going to his place and stuff, and that was just like messed up. Like he would just for fun, I think it was 14-year-olds like bring out like thick wooden boards and break them with his forehead and like fists and stuff. I was like fun. I was like, man, this is weird.
That explains a lot.
Yeah,
It explains the brain
explains a
damage.
lot. So yeah, there was stuff like that happening, but I've never met someone who was that I would consider like, oh man, this person needs some help, like some professional help. I don't know if I've met that level.
Yeah.
Have you met someone that was like that deep?
No, and I'm more talking about people who are just, it's almost like they're a character out of a movie, for example, or they're just so. There's just so many like combination of things that is weird about them that you're like, wow, and it could be in a good way as well.
Yeah,
you could meet someone
in a
who's
good way.
so pure, so kind-hearted that it's just, wow, how does this person even exist? Because, in any other situation, people would behave angrily or in a,
Well, I did know this one guy who I wish I still had contact with him because he went to university with me for, I think about 3 years, and then I don't know if he just stopped doing university and went to go do something else, but he was, for sure he was a savant. Like he must have been a savant. So he lived in a ferry, like a ship ferry. No, it was like a, I'm going to call it, just he lived in a big boat.
like a houseboat?
No, not a houseboat. He lived on like an actual terminal ferry style, like huge boat. But it wasn't for like common people. It was for like just selected people that weren't rich. It was everything. But he lived for like 10 years on this thing. Then decided that he was going to do engineering, and he just knew like everything and anything you'd ever talk about. But he was incredibly shy as a social person. But as soon as he would get onto a topic about engineering or maths, like he'd just be like he would just know like anything. Like we would talk about, I don't know if you know the millennium problems, the math millennium problems.
I know of them.
Turn of the century. Yeah.
Solved a couple.
He was working. Yeah. Well, he was working on some of them, like just as like a pastime. He was like, I'm gonna solve like 3 of these, and I was like, what the hell, man? What's going on? But he was kind of cool as a person, but also once we tried to take him out for like let's go have a drink, and he would just be like standing in the bar, like check the video, just standing in the bar, just like being like, oh, I don't know what to do with these humans, and I was just like, man, this is pretty extreme, but like extreme and pretty amazingly intellectual at the same time. So yeah.
There's bizarre people out there.
Well, like let's talk about it like here, right? We're standing in South Bank, and I know that if you're looking at the video, right, you look in the background, it's all very nice. But we've got in front of us like, I don't know, 1,000 people have gone past us probably as we've done this like podcast, and I've seen a couple where I'm like, that person would be really interesting to talk to. Like, I just feel like they'd have some sort of story. I don't know if you saw before, some dude walked by and he had his weight vest on. So a weight vest, but he had like wingtips on his shoes and stuff. And I was like, I feel like that would have like an interesting conversation with. Yeah, I reckon you'd find, if you knew more people or wanted to spend the time, you'd find some interesting conversations to have.
I've been too absorbed with the conversation to be noticing. My attention goes
direct. You haven't even looking at me. You haven't even been looking. You've been looking like into the actual camera, into the audience.
That is bull.
Oh, mate. What do you reckon? Actually, I was going to put this out there because we're nearing maybe the end of the conversation. I wanted to ask more the viewers a question. We've been talking about this. I know we're going to have some conversations about this. Building maybe a mere mortal, I don't know what we call it, a group, an ability for us to interact.
Mere mortal
Clubhouse. We'll just steal the name Clubhouse of Clubhouse and we'll be the new Clubhouse. It'll be like the mere mortal media, the mere mortal
I'm
magnates,
trying to think of
the mere mortal magnates, whatever you want to call it, mediums. But how would you, if you had to say, like, there's a chance, obviously, mere mortals, if you wanted to interact with us in a different way, how would you see it? Would you care to see a little bit more of a private, up and close? Would you want to talk to us directly? Just because I'd be keen as we're going through this podcast. Have a think about it. If you're listening, how might you interact with us in a different way? How would you enjoy that? So I don't have any other things, by the way, off topic to talk about in this meandering. So I will leave you with this, folks. It is raining and spitting a little bit on me. But if you feel like you're listening to other podcasts and you're spitting on them because they're just horrible, I'll tell you what. Go and check out the Mere Mortals podcast. I actually started listening to a couple of the ones in the top 50, right? Like this mind connection ideas, right? They were had 2 million followers on Facebook and Instagram, and I was like, oh, I'll listen to one of the podcasts. And I'm not gonna say what the name was. So I'm not here to like diss them. But man, it was shit. I was like, holy shit, this was horrible podcast. And I was like, man. And then I listened to another one. We're doing a book review on the Book of Tyranny, and 20 minutes of a 1 hour and 20 minute podcast before they got talking to about the book. And I was like, man, all right. Sometimes people call us out because we might not get to the topic at hand, but shit, we ain't getting 20 minutes in. So if you want to get we normally get straight into it, which I like. So if you're up for that, come and have a bit of a listen.
I think we're pretty good, and I put the timestamp, so if you want to, you can just skip.
Yep.
More than happy to skip to the pertinent parts. So.
Okay, all right. Well, it's spinning a little bit harder. So folks, Mere Mortals out.
Going out.